What if everything you know about closing a sale is wrong? Not just a little off, not just in need of a tweak or a motivational pep talk, dead wrong. Let's strip away the clichés, the tired closing scripts, and the fake confidence that every rookie salesperson is told to paste on before walking into a meeting. Because if you're here, you're looking for more than tired advice and tired results. You want to know what the true legends of selling, people like Ziglar, actually did behind the scenes to close the deals everyone else couldn't. You want to learn the science, the psychology, the unspoken art that separates the closers from the endless line of hopefuls chasing commissions, chasing prospects, chasing the next maybe. You want to turn maybe into yes, not by manipulation, not by high-pressure tactics, but by understanding the human mind in a way 99% of sellers never will. Now, let's be real, the sales world is full of myths that sound good but kill careers. Like this one, a great salesperson can sell anything to anyone. That's not just false, it's dangerous. If you buy into that myth, you're setting yourself up for burnout, disappointment, and the slow death of your reputation. The real pros, the ones who build fortunes and outlast trends, don't think that way. They know selling isn't about tricking someone into parting with their money. It's about something much bigger and much simpler. Zig Ziglar once said, "Selling is a transference of feeling." Read that again, because it's the key to every sale you'll ever close and every deal you'll ever lose. If you don't believe truly down to your bones in your product, your service, and yourself, you're finished before you begin. The prospect can smell doubt, they can taste hesitation, and the sale, it dies quietly right there. But when you transfer your belief, your conviction, your honest excitement, when you make your prospect feel what you feel, then suddenly the conversation shifts. It's not you against them. It's you showing them a door they didn't know existed and holding it open while they walk through. That's the power of real selling, and it's the difference between a quick buck and a lifelong career. Now, you might be thinking, if it's really that simple, why do so many people struggle? Why do buyers say no, even when the product is good and the presentation is tight? The answer is brutally honest. Most salespeople are so focused on closing the deal that they forget what a deal actually is. They're obsessed with the transaction, not the transformation. And that's where everything falls apart. You see, anyone can learn a script. Anyone can memorize objection-handling phrases or magic closing lines, but the top 1%, the ones who land repeat clients, referrals, and respect, they sell themselves before they sell anything else. They embody trust. They radiate integrity. They know that every interaction is about service, not manipulation. Because in the end, the real sale isn't about the product. It's about you. Ziglar didn't just talk about belief, he demonstrated it. He knew that buyers don't just buy features and benefits, they buy confidence, honesty, and the feeling that you're on their side. That's why the most successful salespeople aren't always the slickest talkers or the best dressed folks in the room. They're the ones who can look a client in the eye and mean every word they say. Let's take it one step further. Ask yourself, when was the last time you closed a sale that felt effortless? Think back. It probably wasn't because you used some secret power word or manipulative tactic. It was because you believed absolutely in what you were offering. You knew without a shadow of a doubt that it was in the buyer's best interest to say yes. That's what got them over the line. That's what made them trust you. But here's where things get even more interesting. The belief alone isn't enough. You need skill, strategy, and the willingness to keep going long after most people give up. You need to know when to push, when to step back, and how to keep the conversation moving forward without losing your authenticity. And that's exactly what we're going to break down step by step in this guide. Forget everything you think you know about closing. We're about to dismantle the myths, expose the psychology, and give you the tools to transform every sales conversation from a high-pressure pitch into an honest, curiosity-driven partnership. We'll dive deep into why buyers really say no and how to turn that no into a new decision, not by changing their mind, but by changing what they know. We'll show you the art of asking the right questions, not just giving the right answers. Giving the right answers will reveal the secrets behind handling price objections, overcoming skepticism, and creating urgency without sleaze. Most importantly, you'll learn how to become the kind of salesperson people are grateful to buy from, the one they trust, the one they call back, the one they remember. Ready to unlock the untold science of closing any sale? Let's start by blowing up the biggest myth in sales and uncovering what actually works. If you ask 100 people what selling means, you'll get 100 different answers, most of them wrong. Some imagine a pushy car dealer talking a grandmother into a lemon she doesn't need. Others picture high-pressure telemarketers, relentless as gnats, hunting for a credit card number. But these cliches aren't just false. They're the biggest reason so many salespeople flame out and wonder why their calls go unanswered. The truth: selling isn't about arm twisting, clever tricks, or dazzling scripts. It's not even about persuasion in the way most people think. It's about service. Let's tear down the old myth. A great salesperson can sell anybody anything. Sounds impressive until you see what happens to the people who actually believe it. Con artists can convince someone to buy what they don't need once, but it's a dead end. Those salespeople burn bridges, torch their reputation, and vanish as soon as the heat turns up. A real professional, the kind who outlasts the economic roller coaster and makes a living year after year, doesn't aim to make just a sale. They aim to render a service. Their mission is simple: help the buyer win. Zig Ziglar said it plainly: the most successful salespeople never sell to someone, they sell for someone. That subtle shift is everything. Picture it. You're not just a persuader or a presenter, you're a partner. Your job isn't to get one over on the client, but to guide them genuinely skillfully toward a solution that makes their life better. Suddenly, you're not chasing money, you're building value. And people can sense the difference from a mile away. Here's the secret: the best closers know you can have anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. It sounds almost too simple, but it's the foundation of every sustainable sales career on earth. Now, let's talk about belief. A salesperson who isn't convinced of the value they offer is like a chef who won't eat their own food. You can fake enthusiasm for a little while, but prospects always know. When you're fully convinced, when you feel in your bones that your product, service, or solution can genuinely solve someone's problem, your conviction transfers. It's contagious. People pick up on your belief even more than your words. But here's the catch: if you don't really believe in what you're selling, no script or technique will save you. If you're only chasing a commission, buyers sense it in your voice, your eyes, your posture, and they run for the hills. That's why real sales professionals are always looking for products, companies, and missions they can stand behind. Because when you feel it, you can transfer it. And when you transfer it, the sale happens almost as a side effect. Let's flip the script. If your mindset is, how can I help this person today? Everything changes. The objections aren't roadblocks. They're opportunities to learn more, to teach more, to serve better. The client's hesitation isn't an attack on you. It's a chance to go deeper, discover what matters, and offer a real solution. Look at the evidence. The greatest closers don't pressure people into buying what they don't need. They spend their energy uncovering real needs, then matching their solution to those needs. If the fit isn't there, they walk away with their reputation intact, and that integrity comes back to them tenfold. Here's a little exercise straight from Ziglar's playbook. He'd stand in front of a live audience and ask, how many of you sell a good product? Hands go up. How many of you sell a product that solves a real problem? More hands. How many of you believe that if you solve a problem, you deserve a profit? Everyone's in. And then the punchline, so is selling something you do to someone or something you do for someone? In that moment, every person in the room feels the shift. Selling isn't about winning a battle or tricking a stranger. It's about helping, serving, and solving. And when you get that, when you really get that, you stop feeling awkward about asking for the order. You stop dreading objections because you know deep down that what you're offering is a win for the client. If it isn't, you don't make the offer. That's the level of conviction the pros operate at. If you're building a sales career, you have to decide early, do you want to be the flash in the pan who makes one sale and disappears? Or do you want to be the one who gets referrals, repeat business, and a reputation for integrity? Service beats trickery every single time. But let's go deeper. Why do so many people, good people, honest people, still hear no over and over, even when their heart's in the right place? If selling is really about service, why isn't it easy? Why do buyers hesitate, stall, or walk away? That's the million-dollar question. And the answer is both simple and powerful. People don't change their minds. They make new decisions based on new information. If you're tired of hearing no, maybe you're not giving your prospect enough to say yes to. Maybe you're not educating, not uncovering, not leading. So how do you turn those no's into yeses without pressure, without manipulation, and without losing your soul? That's exactly what we're diving into next. Let's face the awkward truth. No matter how much you believe in your product, how passionate your pitch, or how much you want to help, you're going to hear the word no. Sometimes you'll hear it so often that it feels like a wall you can't climb. But what if no isn't really a rejection? What if it's just a signal, one that can be changed, redirected, even turned into a yes with the right approach? This is where most salespeople get stuck. They hear no and they take it personally. It feels like a judgment on their skills, their offer, even their worth. They get defensive, push harder, or retreat and give up. But that's not how the best closers think. The pros see a no as the start of the real conversation, not the end. Why? Because they know the secret. People don't actually change their mind. They make new decisions. Let's break this down. When a buyer says no, they're not shutting the door forever. They're simply making a decision based on what they know right now, on the information, emotions, and context they have in this exact moment. In other words, their no isn't set in stone. It's based on what they know, and that's something you can change. Think about it like this. If you're selling a product and the prospect says, it's not for me, what they really mean is, based on what I understand so far, it doesn't seem right for me. That's not a wall, it's a window. And the key to opening that window wider is education. Zig Ziglar was a master at this. He understood that a good close isn't about pushing someone until they break. It's about gently, skillfully providing new information, facts, perspectives, and emotional triggers that help the buyer see their world differently. Every piece of new information is like adding another brick to the bridge between no and yes. Let's get practical. Ziglar used what he called the three-question close and approach. So simple yet so effective, it can work in nearly any industry. Can you see where using this product or service would save you money or time or energy or improve your life? Are you interested in saving money or time or improving your situation? If you were ever going to start saving money, when do you think would be the best time to start? Each question moves the prospect a step closer to action, not by arguing, but by letting them convince themselves. The genius here isn't the words, it's the psychology. You're not telling them what to do, you're helping them discover the answer themselves. And people always believe their own conclusions more than anything you could say. Let's see this in action with a true story from Ziglar's own files. A college admissions counselor was meeting with a father considering enrolling his daughters in a vocational program. The tuition, $16,000, a hefty investment by any standard. Rather than lecture about benefits, the counselor asked, "Do you invest in the stock market?" The father said yes. "Do you consider the money spent on your daughter's education an investment or an expenditure?" An investment, of course. "Then let me ask, how much are your daughters worth as an investment?" In that moment, the conversation shifted from price to value, from logic to emotion, and the decision became obvious. The father made a new decision not because someone wore him down, but because someone helped him see things in a new light. Here's the pattern. Don't argue. Ask questions that guide your prospect to rethink the value. Don't defend. Provide new facts, new angles, new perspectives. Don't chase. Lead them with respect and confidence. Remember, every no you hear is based on incomplete information. The only way to change it is to give the buyer something new to consider. This might be a powerful story, a surprising statistic, a demonstration, or a question that reframes the problem. Let's talk about the no that really means not yet. How often have you said no to something only to say yes later after learning more? Maybe you passed on a software subscription, a course, or even a job, but then something changed. You got more information. You saw someone else succeed, or you realized you misunderstood the offer. That's how buyers work, too. The real difference between average salespeople and the pros isn't in what they say, it's in what they ask. A rookie tries to out-talk the objection, but you have to understand, this is the best deal. Let me explain why you're wrong. A professional slows down, listens, and gets curious. What's your biggest concern? If there were a way to show you that the investment was worth it, would you be interested? What would you need to see to feel comfortable moving forward? This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding human nature. Most people are naturally cautious. They're wary of change, especially when money is involved. But give them a chance to learn, discover, and choose for themselves, and suddenly you're not fighting, you're partnering. Here's a reality check. No one wants to feel pressured. No one likes to be sold, but everyone loves to buy, especially when it feels like their own idea. So the next time you hear no, remind yourself, you haven't lost the sale, you've just hit a checkpoint. Your job is to lead, not push, to teach, not preach. Keep adding value, keep asking the right questions, and keep guiding your prospect toward a new decision, one that serves them, not just you. What happens when you stop fighting the no and start working with it? You discover that every rejection is just a chance for redemption. Every lost sale is a lesson, and every no is one step closer to a yes, as long as you're willing to educate, engage, and evolve. But if you want to master this art, you need more than patience and belief. You need the right tools, the right questions, the right timing, and the right strategies to move from stalemate to signature. So how do you do that without sounding desperate or robotic? How do you keep the conversation moving without turning it into an interrogation? The answer lies in the art of question-based selling, where the buyer talks themselves into the deal and you become the trusted guide. Ready to see how it works? Let's pull back the curtain on question-based selling, the secret weapon of the world's most successful closers. There's an old saying in sales, telling is not selling. If you're the only one talking, You're probably not selling, you're preaching, pitching, or worst of all, begging. The true pros know that the more you talk, the less you sell. The more you ask, the more deals you close. Why? Because the right questions lead buyers to convince themselves, while pitches only convince people to tune out. Let's get real. When you're in a sales conversation, who do you trust more? Someone pushing their agenda or someone who's genuinely curious about what you want and need? You already know the answer, and so do your prospects. But here's the hard truth. Most people don't want to be told what to do. They want to feel like they're making their own decision. The more you try to talk them into something, the more resistance you create. But if you guide the conversation with the right questions, you invite the buyer into the process. You turn a pitch into a partnership. Zig Ziglar's brilliance was this. He understood that persuasion isn't about overpowering someone with facts. It's about making the buyer the hero of their own story. And nothing does that better than a carefully crafted question. The power of the right question. Let's look at how this works in real life. Suppose you're demonstrating a product. Maybe it's software, maybe it's cookware, maybe it's a consulting package. You lay out the benefits, you handle the objections, and you get that familiar pause. The buyer is silent, skeptical, on the fence. Here's where the rookie jumps in with more features, more data, more desperation. But the pro, they drop a simple, open-ended question that moves the ball forward without pressure. Based on what we've talked about, what stands out as most valuable to you? How would this help you in your day-to-day? What would need to happen for you to feel confident moving ahead? These questions aren't tricks, they're tools. They show respect for the buyer's intelligence and agency, and that's when the magic happens. The buyer starts selling themselves. The alternate choice close, a master class in subtlety. Let's get tactical for a minute. One of Ziglar's favorite tools is the alternate choice close. It's simple, it's smooth, and it turns the yes or no decision into a choice between two wins. Picture this. Instead of asking, do you want to buy, you ask, would you prefer the green or the red model? Instead of, are you ready to sign, you ask, do you want to get started this week or next week? You're not giving them a chance to say no. You're inviting them to pick the best option. It's the same reason a savvy barista doesn't ask, do you want an espresso? They say, would you like a single or a double? The choice isn't whether to buy, but how to buy. This isn't about trickery, it's about momentum. It's about making the next step feel easy, inevitable, and safe. Here's a story that's as old as American salesmanship. In the 1930s, Walgreens wanted to boost sales at their soda fountains. Instead of asking customers if they wanted an egg in their shake, a weird but popular option back then, clerks were trained to ask, would you like one egg or two? Sales skyrocketed, but people didn't feel pushed, they felt served. And that's the essence of the alternate choice. Close, it's service disguised as sales, fear of loss, your secret weapon. Let's flip to another side of psychology. People fear losing more than they love winning. It's called loss aversion, and it's one of the most powerful forces in human decision-making. The best closers know how to use this honestly and ethically. Instead of hyping up benefits, they ask, this item is in short supply. Would you prefer to wait 3 weeks for delivery or get your order in today? If you saw that it was to your advantage to own this now and the terms were right, would you have any objection to going ahead? You're not threatening, you're highlighting the reality waiting could mean missing out. But remember, this only works if you're honest. Never create fake scarcity, never manipulate. Trust, once lost, is impossible to regain. But if you're genuine, fear of loss can help buyers make the right decision. Now, not someday. Real-world, modern example, question-based and alternate choice closes aren't just relics of old-school sales. Today's best tech companies, service firms, and even subscription apps use the same strategies.
Streaming service signups. Start your free trial now or choose a yearly subscription and save
SaaS upgrades. Would you like to schedule a one-on-one onboarding call or get started with the video guide? Consulting packages. Do you want the 6-week intensive or the 3-month deep dive? In every case, the buyer is in the driver's seat, guided, not pushed. The hidden bonus: questions build trust. Build trust. Oh, here's the final crucial point. Asking great questions doesn't just move the sale forward. It builds trust. It shows that you're paying attention, that you care, that you're not just reciting a script. And trust is the real currency of selling. It's what turns a maybe into a yes, a one-time buyer into a loyal client, and a sales career into a calling. But what about the biggest objection of all, the one that scares salespeople more than any other? Price. When someone says it's too expensive, what do? Do you discount, defend, or worse, panic? No. You go back to the fundamentals. You ask questions, uncover the real concern, and show value in a way that money alone can't argue with. Because question-based selling isn't just about closing deals, it's about opening minds. Let's look at the price objection head on and learn how to destroy doubt, build real value, and turn "it's too expensive" into "I can't afford to miss this." Let's talk about the one thing that terrifies new salespeople and frustrates even seasoned pros: price objections. You've probably heard them all. That's too expensive. I can't justify the cost. Maybe next quarter. It's the classic stall, the most common excuse, and the one reason great deals die on the table. But here's the truth most won't admit. Price is rarely the real objection. It's just the first wall buyers put up. Why? Because it's safe. It's easy to say. No one feels embarrassed to say, "I can't afford it." What they're rarely saying out loud, at least, is, "I don't see the value," or "I'm not convinced this is right for me," or "I'm scared to make the wrong choice." Your job isn't to fight over dollars and cents. Your job is to reveal the value so powerfully that the price becomes a footnote, not a barrier. Let's set the record straight. People don't buy on price. They buy on value, on trust, on emotion, and only justify with logic after the fact. If you doubt that, just walk into any luxury car dealership, a high-end tech store, or even a coffee shop charging $6 for a latte. Price matters, but not the way most people think. The voice inflection advantage. Zig Ziglar was a genius with voice inflection. How you say something matters more than what you say. He showed that when someone throws out a price objection, you don't get defensive and you don't drop your price just to save the sale. Instead, you reflect their objection with calm confidence, almost as if you're agreeing with them. Picture this. Prospect: "That price is ridiculous." You calmly, with a slight rising inflection: "The price is ridiculous?" You're not arguing, you're not justifying, you're simply mirroring their words with a different tone, which tosses the objection right back. Suddenly it's up to them to explain why they feel that way. You're not on defense anymore. You're running the play. The key? You must practice your voice, your delivery, your timing, because buyers aren't just listening to your words, they're judging your confidence, your belief, and your ability to stay cool under pressure. Breaking down price, the penny a day close. One of the most powerful Ziglar stories is the frying pan bullet test. He sold high-end cookware at a premium price. When prospects objected, "It's too much," he'd tell them about a police officer who shot a frying pan and barely dented it. Then he'd break down the price. Let's say it's $200 more than the cheaper set. How long will this last? Probably forever. Let's say 20 years, so it's $10 a year, or about 3 cents a day for the best cookware you'll ever own. But see what just happened? The price, which seemed huge, became laughably small when viewed over a decade or more. People don't do math in their heads. You need to do it for them, slowly, visually, with pen and paper if you can. How many of you can cost versus price, changing the conversation? When someone says it's too expensive, ask, are you concerned about the price or the total cost? This question stops most people cold. They'll look at you confused. You explain, price is what you pay once, cost is what you pay over a lifetime, repairs, replacements, headaches, wasted time. Would you rather save a few dollars today or thousands over the next decade? Share the story. Ziglar bought his son a cheap bike for $35. It broke down repeatedly, racking up repair bills until they finally bought the $65 Schwinn they should have purchased in the first place. The cheap bike ended up costing more and still didn't last. It's a simple, relatable tale, and it works in any industry. Software, cars, insurance, coaching, appliances. Buyers understand that cheap is expensive in the long run. Your script? Our company decided years ago it's easier to explain price once than to apologize for poor quality forever. I'll bet you're glad we made that decision, aren't you? Like it closed. And the real objection, when price comes up, sometimes it's just a smoke screen. Let me ask, do you actually like the product? If they say yes, follow up. Isn't it hard to pay too much for something you truly enjoy? People pay for what they love. Sometimes you just have to let them admit it, but maybe price isn't the problem. Maybe it's a trust issue, a timing issue, or a fear of change. Smoke it out. Smoke. If I could show you how the price is not only fair, but actually a great investment, would you be ready to move forward today? If they say yes, you're closed. If they say no, dig deeper. What else would you need to feel comfortable? The fear of loss, ethical urgency, the final weapon, honest urgency. People hate missing out more than almost anything. If you have a real reason, limited supply, seasonal pricing, upcoming changes, let them know. But do it with integrity, not pressure. Would you prefer to lock in today's terms or take the risk that prices might change next month? Done right. This isn't manipulation, it's service, helping your buyer avoid regret. Price objections in the modern world. Today's buyer is flooded with choices and overwhelmed with information. They're wary of scams, empty promises, and hidden fees. So be transparent. Lay out the numbers. Show comparisons, testimonials, long-term results. Use stories, use data, use logic and emotion. And above all, never apologize for value. Be proud of your offer. Stand tall on your price. People want to buy from experts, from believers, from those who can say without flinching, this is worth every penny. Transition or remember, the most powerful closes happen after you've built value, trust, and belief. If you master the art of destroying doubt, not by fighting price, but by reframing it, you'll never fear a price objection again. But there's another secret. Most salespeople never even get this far. They quit too early. They ask for the order once, get a no, and walk away empty-handed. What separates the 4% of top closers from the rest? They are relentless but never annoying. They keep asking because they know every no is just a step toward the final yes. Ready to see how the relentless close works without ever becoming pushy? Let's dive in. Har, maybe tall, ball, fall, all, fall, they ball, fall, a ball, fall, they ball, fall, a ball, fall. Picture this. You're on the edge of the sale. The prospect is hesitating, maybe fidgeting, looking for reasons to back out or stall. You've delivered value, you've answered questions, you've handled the price objection like a pro. But then comes the hardest part for most salespeople, the moment of truth, asking for the order. The average rep asks once, maybe twice. If they hear no, they retreat, chalk it up as a loss, and move on. But the top closers, the ones who take home the lion's share of the income, are different. They're not pushy, they're not desperate, and they never annoy the prospect. Instead, they're relentless in a way that feels respectful, persistent, and professional. Here's what separates the 4% from the 96%. They keep asking for the sale, but here's the twist. They never ask the same way twice. They use different closes, different angles, different questions, always searching for the real reason behind the hesitation. Each no isn't a rejection, it's a clue, a signal, a puzzle to be solved. The Notre Dame discovery, Dr. Herb True at Notre Dame studied top salespeople and found a game-changing insight. Only 4% of reps ever ask for the order 5 or more times in a single sales cycle. And those 4% close over 60% of the deals. Read that again. The majority ask once, twice, then quit. But the winners persist, not with pressure, but with value, curiosity, and belief. This doesn't mean you should turn into a nag. Relentless doesn't mean repetitive. It means you build value before every ask and change your approach each time. Value first, ask second. Here's the golden rule: never ask for the order before you've built value. If you ask too early, you sound desperate. The prospect senses you care more about your quota than their problem. But if you stack value, showing new benefits, asking insightful questions, sharing stories, and making it clear you're on their side, each new ask feels natural, even welcomed. Ziglar had a simple but powerful way to introduce the ask. Now, if it's clear and it's plain that this is in your best interest, is it fair enough for me to ask for your decision today? That's not pressure, it's professionalism. You're letting them know you'll ask. It's setting expectations and respecting their process. Is that fair enough? Close. Transparency is a sales superpower. Try this. Mr. Prospect, my promise is simple. If by the end of our conversation it's as clear to you as this blank sheet of paper, I'll ask you for a decision. Is that fair enough? It puts the buyer at ease. No tricks, no sudden pressure, just honest communication. Handling the "you've got an answer for everything" objection. At some point, especially if you're skilled, a prospect might sigh and say, "Doesn't matter what I say, you've got an answer for everything." Most rookies get flustered or defensive, but the pro? They lean in, smile, and say, "I appreciate that. There are actually many things I don't have answers for. That's why I'm so proud to represent a product that truly is the answer to your problem." And that's what you're really looking for, isn't it? Suddenly, you're not a slick talker, you're a guide who cares about the outcome. The art of the follow-up. Ask. After every objection, pause, clarify, and gently nudge the conversation forward. If we could address that concern, would you feel ready to move forward? If you were ever going to solve this problem, when would be the best time to start? Is there anything else standing in your way today? You're always respectful, never robotic. Each ask is tailored to their unique situation. Persistence without pressure. Persistence is not about hammering away or wearing people down. It's about demonstrating your conviction, your unwavering belief that what you offer is right for them. Ziglar called this pressure belief. It's not aggressive, it's the willingness to stand firm for your prospect's benefit, even if it means risking a little discomfort. Imagine a life insurance agent who knows that the policy he's offering will change a family's future. When the buyer hesitates, the agent politely, gently asks again because he believes the cost of waiting is too great. But here's the real key. You ask with heart. You ask with empathy. You ask as a friend, not a wolf. Knowing when to move on, even the best salespeople know you can't win them all. Even sometimes the timing is wrong. Sometimes the fit isn't there. A true professional reads the room. If it's a real no, delivered with clarity and finality, you respect it and leave the door open for the future. But here's the irony. When you stop pressuring and start serving, you'll be amazed at how often no becomes maybe and how many maybes turn into yes simply because you didn't give up too soon. The big lesson: don't settle for the first objection. Don't fear no. Ask, reframe, add value, ask again. Each step builds trust, opens dialogue, and gets you closer to the win. Remember, most sales are lost after the first or second ask, not because the prospect didn't want to buy, but because the seller gave up too soon. If you want to join the 4% who close the deals and reap the rewards, make this your mantra. Be relentless, but always be human. Now let's move from persistence to performance, because closing is more than a science. It's an art, and the best artists use unforgettable stories and creative closes to make the yes inevitable. If you want to rise above the crowd in sales, there's something you need to understand. People don't remember the facts. They remember the feeling you gave them. They remember the stories, the metaphors, the moments when you made them feel seen, special, and just a little smarter. The best closers in the world aren't just experts in their product. They're masters of the memorable moment, the kind of moment that turns a maybe into a yes and a one-time buyer into a lifelong fan. Let's get this straight. Unforgettable closes don't happen by accident. They're built on trust, emotion, and just the right dash of creativity. They surprise the buyer, break their resistance, and flip the script in ways that feel personal, not pushy. The shame close, gently challenging the status quo. Take Zig Ziglar's legendary shame close. He tells the story of Johnny, a shoe shiner at a St. Louis airport. Johnny was a professional, not just in skill, but in salesmanship. When Ziglar asked for a basic shine, Johnny took one look at his expensive shoes and suit and said with just a hint of regret, "Regular?" That single word, delivered with voice inflection, put Ziglar on the defensive. Suddenly, he felt like he was shortchanging himself. The lesson: Johnny didn't sell the shine, he sold the experience. He made Ziglar want the best for himself without ever pushing. And in the end, Ziglar tipped triple what he'd planned and walked out feeling like $1,000,000.
This is the power of the shame close.
You don't insult your prospect. You simply hold up a mirror and let them see where they might be settling for less. You've invested so much in your business, home, family. Why settle for anything but the best solution? Isn't it worth a little more to finally solve this problem for good? It's a gentle, classy nudge, one that's surprisingly effective. The marriage close, building loyalty beyond the transaction. Another Ziglar classic is the marriage close. Here he'd take a prospect through his entire presentation and at the end unveil a beautiful parchment certificate, an actual marriage contract between him and the client. It read, "I agree to be available in time of need, to stay abreast of all developments that affect you, and to take personal responsibility for your satisfaction." No one ever signed that certificate without signing the application too. Why does this work? Because it's not about the product. It's about commitment. It says, "I'm not just here to take your money and vanish. I'm promising to stand by you, to serve you, to be part of your success." In a world of hit-and-run sales, this stands out like a beacon. It makes buyers feel safe, important, even honored. And it ties their decision not just to a product, but to a relationship. Try it yourself. When you work with me, you're not just getting a solution, you're getting a partner. My commitment doesn't end at the sale, that's when it begins. The extra close, always over-delivered. Think back to Johnny the shoe shiner. The second time Ziglar saw him, Johnny noticed an overnight bag. He asked, "Do you have another pair of shoes in there? It'd be a shame to have the best shine tonight and look ordinary tomorrow." He wasn't upselling, he was serving. He made the decision to buy more, feel like the buyer's own smart idea. The extra close is about giving more than expected. Offer a bonus, solve an extra problem, anticipate a need before it's voiced. Would you like me to set this up for you today so you can get started immediately? How about I throw in a complimentary training session so you and your team get the absolute most out of this? Suddenly saying yes feels like getting a win, not making a sacrifice. Why stories work and how to use them. Every unforgettable close uses story because stories bypass logic and go straight to the heart. When you tell a story about a client who hesitated and then succeeded, about a time you went the extra mile, or about a lesson you learned the hard way, you give your buyer a vision of themselves as the hero. Here's a quick framework. Set the scene. I had a client just like you. Highlight the struggle. They were frustrated with X, worried about Y. Reveal the solution. We worked together and they decided to try. Show the outcome. Now they're seeing results they never thought possible. This isn't just talk, it's a vision for your buyer's own future. A good story plants the seed. That could be me. And once your prospect starts to picture themselves winning, the close is almost inevitable. Modernizing the art, 21st century close. Today's top closers use these same principles but with a modern spin. A software company might offer a white glove onboarding experience to seal the deal. A consultant may marry their client with a 90-day success guarantee and a personal video welcome. An online course creator might offer surprise bonus modules for fast action. What matters isn't the specifics, it's the feeling you create. Are you making the buyer feel like they're part of something special? Are you helping them see themselves succeeding, supported, and celebrated? If so, you're closing the deal before the paperwork is even signed. Unforgettable closes build your reputation. The final reason to master the art of the unforgettable close, word spreads. People tell their friends about the salesperson who made them feel smart, cared for, and understood. They refer colleagues, they come back again and again. It's how careers are made and legends are born. But even the most unforgettable close, the cleverest story, and the best bonus won't work unless your foundation is rock solid. Without trust, integrity, and character, every clever tactic eventually falls apart. So let's get down to what really matters. How to become the kind of salesperson and person buyers trust before you even open your mouth. Take away all the scripts, all the strategies, all the closes, what's left? It's you, not the version of you that shows up in a polished suit with a memorized pitch, but the real you, your character, your integrity, and the trust you inspire in every conversation. Because here's the cold, hard truth about sales. Trust closes more deals than technique ever will. Every sales legend knows it. Zig Ziglar, at the height of his fame, would tell crowds, if people like you, they'll listen to you. But if they trust you, they'll do business with you. It's so simple it almost sounds cliché. But ignore it and you'll spend your whole career chasing your tail, winning a few deals, losing even more, and wondering why the magic just isn't happening. Trust is the shortcut, but there's no shortcut to trust. You can't fake trust and you can't rush it. The only way to build trust is to be trustworthy consistently, publicly, and even when it's inconvenient. Let's look at the signs for a second. The Forum Corporation's massive study on top sales professionals found two traits that set the superstars apart from the pack. Integrity pros with unshakable ethics always rise to the top. A focus on long-term satisfaction. They know the sale isn't over until the product is delivered, paid for, and the customer is truly happy. Every other factor, experience, education, product knowledge, was equal between the best and the rest. It wasn't talent. It wasn't cleverness. It was trust. But what does that look like in the real world? treating the janitor like the CEO. The CEO, the people ay möjligen bjuda där megolderna blir ay bättre budget, balder på det blir pralets över det bägad zedder, mindi, kurar no kunshwang tekel, no all I'm in show pay, because no more problems I solve, because you over that really what you do. And where you also locking for me afraid of taxing to what all right. What over kind of jet nanny put where's? My perspective, you're all right, the people's position, problem. Use a lock in problem. Here's something you won't find in most sales manuals. How you treat everyone matters. The best salespeople are courteous to the receptionist, the file clerk, the intern, and the chairman of the board. Why? Because character is consistent. People talk, word travels. When you're a good person to everyone, you build an invisible network of support inside every organization you touch. You might think this is just nice advice, but it's a power move. When you treat everyone with respect, people are eager to help you. They'll answer your calls, give you a heads up, smooth the path with decision makers, and when it's time to buy, trust your intentions. The good guys and good girls always win in the end. There's a persistent myth in business that you have to be ruthless to win. Maybe in the short term, but long term, the good guys and girls win every time. Why? Because when you deal straight, you become the safe choice. Your word means something. People know you'll show up, follow through, and take care of them, especially when things go wrong. If your competitor gets a reputation for cutting corners, ghosting customers, or blaming others when the chips are down, guess who people come back to? You. Trust isn't just honesty, it's consistency. Anyone can be honest when things are going well. The true test is how you act when the sale gets hard. The numbers are tight or the prospect's frustrated. Do you admit when you don't know the answer instead of bluffing? Do you call back when you say you will, even if you have bad news? Do you take responsibility for mistakes instead of dodging blame? Do you deliver what you promise, no matter what? These moments, tiny and unnoticed by most, are the bricks that build your reputation. Over time, they stack up, and suddenly, you're the one people trust with their money, their friends, and their company's reputation. Teamwork multiplies trust. Even the best closers need support. Ziglar talked about the importance of building a team around the sales process. The top salespeople make their whole company look good, not just themselves. When you treat your colleagues with respect, the people in shipping, billing, support, you create allies who want to make you look great to the client. That energy comes through in every transaction. The client feels it. They know they're in good hands, not just with a lone wolf, but with a whole tribe of pros who have their back. Make your customer the biggest winner. Here's a Ziglar mantra. You can have everything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. Read it again. It's not just a sales philosophy, it's a life philosophy. If your customer is the biggest winner in every transaction, you win by default. If you make it about you, you lose. Don't just solve their immediate problem, anticipate their next one. Don't just deliver what you promised, over-deliver. Don't disappear after the sale. Follow up, check in, make sure they're delighted. Every time you do, you cement your status as the rarest kind of salesperson, the one people brag about knowing, the one they send their friends to, the one who's invited to the table when something really matters. Integrity isn't a tactic, it's the whole game. Here's a wake-up call. You can master every close in the book, but if your reputation takes a hit, it's game over. People will give their money to those they trust, not those who try to outsmart them. Trust multiplies everything you do. It magnifies every tactic, every story, every value-building moment. It's not the icing on the cake, it's the cake. So as you put all these techniques and closes into action, remember the foundation is character. Trust is your most powerful close, and you're making it every day with every action. Let's bring this home and put it all together. Ready to never miss a sale again? Let's close with a challenge, a blueprint to keep you at the top. You've made it this far. You've absorbed the science, the stories, the tactics, and the philosophy of sales from one of the greatest minds in the field, Zig Ziglar, and now you're armed with the kind of insight that turns ordinary sellers into legendary closers. But if there's one truth that echoes through every story and every strategy, it's this: success in sales is never about the product alone. It's about you. That's right. You are the real differentiator, the secret sauce, the competitive advantage, the one thing the competition can never copy. The way you believe in your offer, the way you serve, the way you bounce back from rejection, the way you ask just one more question, and most importantly, the way you make people feel. Because here's the bottom line: people don't buy products. They buy feelings. They buy outcomes. They buy the confidence that you'll deliver what you promise and stand with them long after the deal is done. Every time you walk into a meeting, get on a call, or send an email, you have a choice to be just another salesperson or to become a trusted advisor, someone who's remembered, respected, and recommended. The 4 pillars to never missing a sale. Let's distill everything we've covered into 4 pillars you can apply every day, no matter what you're selling or who you're talking to. Lead with belief. Start every conversation with unshakable conviction. If you wouldn't buy your own product, why should anyone else? If you don't believe you're making your buyer's life better, your words will ring hollow. Let your excitement and certainty be contagious. 2, serve, don't sell. Remember, selling isn't something you do to someone, it's something you do for someone. Your job is to solve problems, deliver value, and make the buyer the hero of their own story. Listen deeply, ask great questions, and treat every no as a signal to help, not a personal rejection. 3, ask and ask again with heart. Persistence separates the amateurs from the pros. But persistence isn't about pressure, it's about curiosity, creativity, and respect. Use different closes, ask new questions, and always add value before every ask. The top 4% keep asking, not to wear people down, but to keep doors open until the moment is right. 4, build trust like your career depends on it, because it does. Every word, every action, every promise you keep or break is a brick in your reputation. Treat everyone with respect. Tell the truth even when it hurts, and never chase short-term wins at the expense of long-term relationships. When people trust you, they don't just buy, they buy again, and they bring friends. Your new sales blueprint, let's turn these pillars into a daily action plan. Prepare before every meeting, research your prospect, anticipate objections, and walk in with a mindset of genuine service. Ask questions that uncover real needs. Don't settle for surface-level wants. Dig deep, get curious about their world. Tell stories that stick. Use metaphors, analogies, and real client success stories to paint a picture of the future you're offering. Handle objections as gifts. Every objection is a chance to educate, build value, and create clarity. Welcome them, don't run from them. Close with courage. Don't be afraid to ask for the order again and again from different angles, always building value. Follow up like a friend, not a pest. After the deal, check in, solve problems. Be there when it matters. Reflect and improve. After every interaction, ask, what did I learn? What can I do better next time? The power of persistence and the wisdom to walk away. There's one more truth the legends never forget. Not every sale is yours to win today. Sometimes the timing is wrong. Sometimes the fit isn't perfect. Sometimes a no is just a not yet. Your job isn't to close every deal at any cost. Your job is to leave every conversation with your reputation intact, the relationship stronger, and the door open for future business. The story never ends, and neither does your growth. Sales isn't a single event, it's a journey. There are no finish lines, only new opportunities. The most successful closers never stop learning, never stop practicing, and never stop improving. Zig Ziglar himself studied, read, role-played, and refined his approach for decades. He made selling a craft, a lifelong pursuit of mastery. So if you want to never miss a sale again, make this your mantra. I will never stop growing. I will never stop serving. I will never stop believing in what I do and in the people I do it for. A final challenge, as you finish this video, don't just nod along. Take action. Pick one strategy, one close, or one story you've learned here and use it in your next conversation. Watch what happens. Let your competitors chase the next script or shiny trick. You'll be the one clients call back, the one they trust, the one who makes closing look effortless, because for you, closing isn't a technique, it's a way of life. Leaving you with Zig's wisdom. Let's close with the timeless words of Zig Ziglar himself. Words that are more than advice, they're a legacy. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. Hold on to that. Go out there, serve, ask, persist, and build trust like your career and your legacy depend on it. And if you do, we'll see you not just at the next sale, but at the very top